Hello and welcome to Jacob's Horizon once again. Today's discussion with you is on a subject that has been triggered by a comment on my blog which was published on the 23rd of December last year. The subject which I had covered in the blog was on conflict management and escalation as a tool to resolve conflicts. One of my readers from across asked me a question through a private mail and put across his point that the subject context seems to be revolving around organizational conflicts. And therefore the question was, can this be extended to cover interpersonal conflicts? And if that be so, how should that be seen? Conflicts, whether it is interpersonal, interpersonal, interorganizational, societal, or even international, all have two or three basic parameters. Firstly, all conflicts involve various parties, one or more parties. Conflicts also have issues, one issue or many issues, which are considered mutually exclusive by the parties involved. Unfortunately, most conflicts happen when parties assume mutually exclusive stakes in the issue at hand, even when mutually beneficial outcomes exist. It is when parties see or perceive the situation differently, the outcomes or takeaways, the differential between the takeaways amongst the parties involved, and the losses perceived or the damages perceived actually give rise to a conflict. The beauty of a conflict is, like all wars, conflicts emerge when communications fail or ceases, and conflict ceases when communication or meaningful communications are re-established. Even wars are like that. Now, when does escalation come into play as a means to resolve conflicts? Normally, conflicts are resolved when parties sit down to talk, negotiate, arbitrate, or through adjudication, they remove disputes and remove conflicts. When all that have failed or not are attempted to, and both the parties are at it causing injury or damage to each other, either overtly or covertly, conflicts seem to get into a stalemate. Now, stalemate is a situation where nothing is going forward. Although it looks like a status quo, it ain't so. Imagine a dead body lying there. There's no movement, but it is putrefying. Similarly, when a dispute or a conflict exists, nothing positive happens. Everything negative happens. Over time, both the parties or all the parties involved get to a state where they are causing serious damage to each other, irrespective of the losses they're suffering or they seem to suffer. Actually, what happens in a conflict situation is the bigger party feels that a status quo or a stalemate situation is more damaging to the lesser party and therefore can be borne by the bigger party. Such parties tend to aggravate stalemate or pursue stalemates. As a corollary, it is in the interest of the party which is forced into a stalemate to escalate the situation. Under such circumstances, escalation becomes a tool. Now the question was, how does it apply to interpersonal relationships? Interpersonal relationships, to start with, must be a relationship which existed between two individuals on whatever grounds: friends, husband, wife, live-in partners. So there is already an equation which is existing, which has gone bad and not been broken up. And therefore, it is living in a stalemate. And no one party seems to take it forward into negotiation or reconciliation. And the party which feels aggrieved more feels weak and consider that the other party is perpetuating a stalemate, then escalation becomes important. As applicable to other conditions, so is into interpersonal relationships. We shall see it a little detail a little later. When a party or one or I or you decide on going in to adopt escalation as a means to resolve conflict, please be sure of the following. 1. Be clear of what we expect, both qualified and quantified, and know in details what is the expected outcome of the escalation plan. Second, when one is escalating, the other party will respond, retaliate. Therefore, all likely retaliations or responses must be understood, taken into consideration, and calibrated. For all known such responses, one must be competent and dynamic enough to recognize such a response and respond. Otherwise, escalation can be suicidal, because escalation doesn't guarantee you resolution. Escalation is only a means to move towards resolution. Escalation also may lead to a faster destruction for the party escalating. Can be suicidal. But staying in a stalemate is worse than a defeat or a success. Success is always welcome, defeat isn't. In an interpersonal relationship, this may be approaching a counselor, a negotiator, or even the legal enforcing or legal officers, law officers, to step in. It is a serious escalation when it happens between two individuals. That happens when a trust between the two have been lost. But while all this happens, be sure that the lines of communications are left open. As I said earlier, wars commence when communication breaks down, and wars cease when communications are re-established. Therefore, if you are in a stalemate, having tried all reconciliatory methods and mechanisms known to you, and you still feel that you are stuck in stalemate, then, my friend, it is time to escalate. This way or that way, whatever be the result. So if you decide to escalate the conflict, go ahead, plan for it, prepare for it, get into the ring, take the gloves off, and get going. They often say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. May you resolve your conflict through conciliatory mechanisms, and may you find the strength to escalate if need be so. All the very best.